In the Vedas, there are different kinds of statements about the ultimate. There is somebody's utterances. So they will take that, okay, here, see, this Rishi's word like that. And they will use that as their argument. But if you really look at the Shrutis, there are different types of utterances about their revelations. In some places, they will make utterances which looks like Advaitic. It is called Abheda Shruti. Abheda Shruti means Advaita. Everything is one kind of utterances come. In some other places, there are statements which explicitly talk of distinction. It is called Bheda Shruti. By rishis only, sometimes by the same person.
Yes.
And some other times it will be a mixture. It is called Ghataka Shruti. It neither looks like this nor like that. And the same pattern has continued in Brahma Sutras. The same has continued in Bhagavad Gita. If you see in some chapters.
Contradicting their own statements.
Sometimes the utterances look like emphasizing oneness. Sometimes two, sometimes mixture, neither this nor that. So, why I made this point is, if you consider this whole thing at once, this only means whatever that ultimate is, it cannot be described. That is why it is coming like this. Instead of doing that, what these individual acharyas have done is, for example, if I am Advaitic, I want to promote Advaita, I will take only those Abheda Shrutis as my proof, as pramana, and the other ones I will do interpretation. I have to do some circus now with that to again bring out the Advaita meaning. They have done it. They have done it. And same thing with others. If I am Dvaita, I will take all Bheda Shrutis as my main pramana. All others I will do circus. Again, circus is with scriptures only. Again I will quote somewhere else from the Veda, from here, from here. Somehow it will make a big mess, just to prove my point. But fact is, it cannot be. Conclusively, nobody can do it. So there is always an attraction in the human mind for a conclusion. It wants to build an organization, it wants to build a structure on a conclusion only. It cannot, it's somehow attractive for the mind. Okay, what is your philosophy? Tell me, kind of thing. No, I don't have a philosophy, it doesn't. Even if you say I don't have, after you speak for half an hour, people only make a philosophy out of what you said. Okay, this is what he means, something. So there is some kind of obsession with conclusion in the human mind because it gives a certainty, security. Okay, this is what it is, and then I can dismiss it. If I say no conclusion, then it remains in uncertainty, it's uneasy, discomfort. But the paradox is, Jnana Yoga can happen only then. The moment I give you a conclusion, after that, inquiry cannot happen actually. I cannot tell you any of the conclusion is true. This is the conclusion. Now you have to do vichara. There is no meaning to that. Vichara means I don't know where it will go. I will go unbiased and see where it will go. So in that regard, I wanted to point out, if you use your intellect in an uncompromised way, actually you will see that all these different conclusions or all these different schools will actually become different methods, not different siddhantas. I'll give you a couple of examples. Most prominent one. Now see, suppose you say you are Advaitin, everything is one. You start with that. But if you, instead of starting with a conclusion, what I would say is, start with that hypothesis. You consider that as your hypothesis. Start there. That is my assumption. And it's not baseless. The assumption is based on something. So you can see, everything is transactional. This is going there, that's coming here. Everything seems to be one organism. Fine. It seems to be interconnected. One huge system. Okay, everything is one. It seems to be one. You start with that. Then you challenge it with your opposite observation. Your opposite observation is, in your experience, very clearly, you experience yourself as a distinct entity. Me and the world. It's very distinct. So when the experience is like that, if you directly start with Advaita as a conclusion, it won't make any sense. Now you have two contradictory experiences or inferences. One tells you that, okay, everything seems to be one organism. Even in my body also. Body is going, matter is going there, that's coming here, everything seems to be one big whirlpool. But on the contrary, I also have an experience of an isolated individuality. I feel separate from you. There is no denying that. I cannot deny that with that everything is one argument. Now I have two arguments which are opposing each other. And both are logical, both are experiential. Now this one, first one looks logical, everything looks connected. And this one looks like an anomaly. But somehow still I feel different and distinct. Therefore, you start with that as an hypothesis, challenge this with your experience of individuality, and then look at this. Is there really something distinct in you? What is that distinct entity? Try to find out. It will get all your attention on yourself. If you do this way, it will naturally come that way only. If you go as an analysis path, inquiry path, this has to necessarily happen. So if you start with Advaita as your starting hypothesis, based on your experience, you challenge it and then bring your attention on you. What is there really something distinct here? Questioning, and then really look. When you get a question only you can look, otherwise you cannot look. Observation capacity, meditativeness through Jnana Yoga can come only if you have a question in you. If you have an answer in you, meditation is not possible. For you to pay attention, you necessarily have to have a question. So now that is Advaita. You can do the reverse also. So Dvaita philosophy, they start with the conclusion that everything is distinct. You are separate, I am separate, world is separate, everything is all distinct entities. In Dvaita they will emphasize like that. Now you can start like that also. Okay, fine, you seem different, I am different, everything is different. There, another problem will arise. If you are a totally isolated entity from what I am, if this is totally isolated from what I am, how is this interaction happening? You cannot explain interaction. Interaction means it has to be one system. Me seeing this means something from there is coming here to me. Light is coming here. It's a interaction is happening. Something from there has to come here, something from there has to go there. And the moment there is interaction, it is one system. Different parts of the same system. You cannot call them totally different. In some way they are showing the qualities of oneness. Now this, how to do it rigorously is, you can say, now I am seeing this color. If this is totally distinct from me, what should have happened is, okay, fine, all the world is different from me. So light waves came and hit my eyes. Eyes are also different from me, fine. Eyes, that electrical signal, it went to the brain, neural firing happened. It should have stopped there and I shouldn't have seen any white. But those electrical signals are becoming white in my experience. How is that jump happening? How is that interaction happening? If I was totally distinct from the world, which includes my brain, body, everything, I should have been a zombie, basically. Everything will happen as it is. It will happen. All activities will happen. I will talk to you, you will talk to me. Everything will happen, but no experience. Zombie. Logically, it should have been like that. And in fact, in Western philosophy, people say, yes, it is so only. They say, I am a zombie. Because they are so engulfed by their logical, philosophical process, thought structure, that they cannot remain in that state of question. There is obviously a question which cannot be resolved. Brain activity becomes vivid experience for you that cannot be answered by your logic. The jump happens somehow. Because see, color is not coming to you. Some just fluctuation is coming to you. In your brain only is that code, some code is happening. Who is filling color back into that code? So logically this gap cannot be filled. It's called explanatory gap by neuroscientists. There is an explanatory gap. And in philosophy it's called hard problem of consciousness. As to why there is conscious experience. I should have been a zombie. So because this question comes and it is not resolvable, it's obviously not resolvable by logic, because you can only then pay attention and see what's happening. Then something more than logic will happen. But for people that becomes discomfort for philosophers, so they will somehow fall to either this side or this side and make some conclusion. They will say, yes, we are zombies. Philosophy is actually a result of this only. See, whether it is in the East or in the West, philosophical debate has been endlessly happening because of this simple miss. They're missing the simple fact that philosophy has a limit. They are not challenging that at all. They think philosophy can answer life. But who told that? They have already placed intellect at the highest pedestal, philosophy at the highest pedestal, and they're never touching that pedestal. You know, people say, make fun of people who believe in God and all that. Atheists or philosophers. They don't realize they have also a pedestal and they are not touching that at all. Nor are they allowing anybody to touch it. They have somehow assumed intellect will resolve life. Even the highest scientists talk like this. And it perplexes me because they're very, very logical people. Much more logical than I am, much more mathematical, much more sharp. But still somehow they don't see this, that there are certain questions, like if you push logic to its limit, it is finally become helpless. It cannot go beyond a point. This is one simple example. You cannot explain your own experience, everyday experience. So if this question haunts you, that my moment-to-moment experience itself, I'm not able to explain with logic, then the only thing you are left with is attention. That's what we do when we do japa. So I make a sound. Sound, why sound? Because only neural activity should happen. But how is it that I'm listening to sound? Where is the sound originating? Paying attention to the source is japa. So here why I started with Dvaita as my hypothesis. I'm different, you are different, everything different. Then it comes to the problem of interaction. In philosophy, that's what they call Western philosophy. This is called problem of interaction. They can't explain if two are totally different, duality, how are they interacting? If they interact, they cannot be duality. It has to be one only, some way. So if you start with Dvaita hypothesis, challenge it, again it will bring you to self-inquiry. So you can use different affirmations not as Siddhanta but as starting point and challenge it, and it will make you inquire. But the tricky thing here is you shouldn't fall to any conclusion. This is just to inquire and pay attention. Because you cannot conclude this way or also that way also. Whichever way you conclude, it can be challenged. So, as you can see now, the problem is very, very fundamental. How many people will understand this? Because everywhere organizations are run based on some Siddhanta only. And it is so strong now, you cannot question it. If you question it, who are you to question? This is all a big thing. You can't question. But it is purely logical. Maybe Maybe it will go away in some time. Again, I'm not fully against the schools as such. My thing is, if they're promoting a method, there is no problem. If they're promoting a conclusion, it is a problem. Conclusion means me versus you. You have different conclusion, I have different conclusion. Naturally friction. There is no other way. So whatever it is, if they do as a method, it is a living thing then. Conclusion is always a dead thing. It's no more throbbing. So these organizations and schools should remain only to the extent they promote methods.